2018 PBA Extra Frame Kenn-Feld Classic here in Coldwater, Ohio at Pla-Mor Lanes. Stepladder final here about to get underway. Welcome to Pla-Mor Lanes here. I'm Craig Elliott along with our guest here today, Richie Teese. Richie, unfortunately, you're not out there bowling still, but we get you here in the booth to get some of your expert insight on how the lanes are going to develop today. And our opening match in the Stepladder final, our defending champion, Rhino Page, taking on the wily veteran, Brad Angelo. What do you know about those two players?
Rhino's been throwing the ball really good today, definitely. Brad's been actually playing them really straight. They've been really tight today and yesterday, and I think Rhino's going to have a small edge today in this first game, especially with Butturff practicing with urethane. But Rhino's been throwing a lot of reactive. He's been using Butturff's push with the urethane ball that he's been throwing. So if he can find that push, I feel like he might be able to take Brad this first game. I think Brad's going to have to throw some really good shots.
And then we've got Tom Daugherty waiting for the winner of that match. Tom's been bowling very well today. He jumped up in the lead for a while until that final match there where Butturff overtook him. You think that's going to give Daugherty a little bit more momentum or a little bit more want to get in there and get another shot at Butturff for that title game?
Yeah, I think so. Tom was a little disappointed that he didn't capture the top seed. I did hear some comments saying he wasn't too happy about losing that. So I think, he's going to want to try and get that back.
And then the number one seed, Jake Butturff, he's got 5 regional wins in 3 regions this year. He won the PBA 60th Anniversary Classic in Indianapolis. Last year at the U.S. Open, he lapped the field by 500 or 600 pins. He just strikes a ton. He jumps in the lead now. What's it going to take to beat him, no matter who is there?
It's going to be real tough to beat him. Like, I crossed with him in the first 4 games this morning, and he struck a lot.
And one of the things we talk about here in Coldwater is just keeping your composure, and he's always just happy-go-lucky. Does that give him an edge here, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, keeping a real strong mentality was big here because the big games weren't easy. You know, the low games were easy to get, but to recover back from them, they were hard. You have, trying to find 7, 8 in a row in this building, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, we didn't see too many of those. Of the 4 players I talked to before the Stepladder started, Brad Angelo is the one of those 4 who really likes the fresh. He had a big 240 and a 260 game 1's on the fresh, so watch out for that here in this opening match. And I think we're just about ready to go.
Perfect.
Players getting their final practice shots in here, and Rhino Page, defending champ. U.S. Open defending champ. That's coming up in a couple of months in Wichita. SB Award winner. Rhino's had a pretty solid last 12 months.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's going to be Rhino right now.
Yeah, it's been bowling pretty good. Yeah. No, he's bowling. Yeah, I was there watching the U.S. Open he won. It was amazing.
And that was, some of this, that was a very, very tough condition. I mean, 3 days on the fresh, the burn, the double burn, and Rhino, he just stayed there the whole time. And Butturff had a big lead overall, but once it got down to that championship match, it was pretty much all Rhino.
Yeah, pretty much was. He likes to drill some of his balls. I like in the industry, I believe they're called like a trick layout on quite a lot of balls, and they allow him to play a lot straighter than most other left-handers. So he sees the lane, I think, a little more different than most left-handers.
Well, you mentioned that. How is Butturff's urethane going to affect him? Well, he's not going to have to worry about it until they get to that championship match, if he gets there.
If he gets there, it was just the first 5-10 minutes of practice they had before they start this game. Yeah, so probably it'll be just enough shots so that he gets that hold that he's looking for.
But as far as grinders go, when you start listing some of the best grinders on tour, Brad Angelo makes everybody's top 10 without question.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, he is the veteran in this field. He is 48 now. It's been a while since his last win, but when they're tough, he's not going to get fooled.
I was talking to a friend of mine, Chad Roberts, 5-10 minutes ago, and he said Brad's in some real good form. Not on the PBA, but in some other tournaments, he said, locally and around. He said he's won quite a few tournaments, especially in some ones that are pretty difficult too. So
yeah, no, he has. He's had some pretty big wins the last couple of years in this area in some of their higher level scratch events. But a different field here. I mean, you got Rhino Page across from you now. That's not going to be. It's not going to be easy. He's not going. He's not going to lay down and say, "Here you go, you can win."
Oh no. With these two guys, they definitely kept it simple. They never gave the pocket away. They were always in the 1-3. Whenever when I cross with them, they never left the big wide splits. They were always making nest pairs. It's notorious in this bowling center, that's for sure.
Well, another interesting thing that both players mentioned in our pregame interviews there, talking to him, is that I said, "Hey, how are you going to attack the lanes?" They both said, "I'm going to wait and see what my opponent has for a look before I decide. If he's got a 230 look, well, I'm going to try this. If he's got a 180 look, I'm going to do this." They both said the exact same thing. So knowing that, seeing that, in practice, do you say, "Oh, well, I just don't have a look"? I mean, is there any gamesmanship there? I mean, does Brad smart enough to say, "Well, I'm just going to let Rhino think I have nothing, but I have something"? Could there be some of that?
It's all going to be determined in these first 3 frames, I believe. Maybe even 2. You're going to find out the strategies between the two guys.
With 6 national titles, 9 regional titles, won the 2017 U.S. Open. He also won the ESPY this past year, and he's also your defending champion here in Coldwater, Ohio. From Orlando, Florida, Rhino Page.
Solid crowd all week long in attendance here at Pla-Mor Lanes, and they've got the bleachers packed around our championship pair. This is the Kenn-Feld Classic, and Kenn-Feld is actually the John Deere dealer, which is why we have the nice mowers down lane there, and the winner always kind of gets to hop on and get their picture with the mower. That's kind of, it's one of those trophies everyone likes to see, is your picture on the mower.
Oh, it's awesome. Absolute great host this week. Really
Did you sneak out and take the front end loader for a ride this weekend? Keys are in it.
I should have tried. I should have tried.
Still time. Let's go. All right, Brad Angelo starting things out. That's pretty close.
He's using a way bigger ball than he has done all week. He's been throwing he's thrown the phase 2 and an all-out, no, not an all-out, just an original show-off the whole week, and he's now throwing a shore lock. So it's a pretty bigger ball than he has been the whole week. I guess maybe because it didn't break down as fast, I guess.
Does that allow him to be a little bit firmer because of that?
He can throw a little harder if he wants to. I think Rhino's throwing the same ball he's been throwing the whole week.
I mean, he's had a couple he's gone back and forth through, but he's still playing fairly direct. That was a little more shape than we've seen the most of the week from Rhino, but he really studies the ball as it rolls down the lane.
He does. That was a pretty good shot. I think that hooked a little bit more than he expected.
And we know this week's spares are at a premium. A lot of missed single pins. How was your spare shooting this week?
Not too bad. There was a few that I did miss. I'm going to put my hands up in the air for that. I missed. I chopped a 610. I chopped a 3-6-10, which should be makeables. So only those 2, and I think a 2-8 was in there that I missed. But that was hard to make, especially for the right-handers, especially when they got a little ugly towards the later end of the block. You don't know whether to hook at it or throw straight at it. You just don't know. Depending on pair to pair, you just don't know.
I always enjoy watching the focus on Rhino. That head is just so steady. The eyes never leave the target.
That's going to hurt. Oh, not as much as I thought.
What'd you see in that shot?
I think he threw that a little firm. He did really throw that pretty hard. I thought it was going to hook because he broke it down quite well. I saw him in practice throwing quite a bit of surface left of 6 and 7 to try and give himself that little bit of bump. So I think he threw it too hard into that bump, so it kind of just didn't come off it. Pretty good spare.
Well, Richie, is this your first time in Coldwater?
It is my first time in
You
Coldwater.
finished top 16.
Yeah.
Gotta be pleased with that. What did you know? What did you hear? Did you hear all the stories before you got here?
Yeah, I heard all the stories.
Did it live up to its legend?
Certainly did, especially those last 3 games I played. Oh my God. That's probably some of the worst bowling I've bowled in a long time. we didn't have any re-oil from the 3 games. Sorry, the 4 games to the 3 games, and all the right-handers played in, and it just got really messy. So I got trapped a little bit. That should hook. It's a good shot. That's the thing. You look at those shots and you think, yep, that's pretty much going to strike. You know, if any other time on tour, you think, yeah, that's pretty much going to go. But in this bowling center, that 10-pin is so stubborn. There's been so many shots that I threw. I thought, yep, that's going to shot, and the 6 just wraps the 10 or it just falls into the gutter, and you're like, that's going to cost me 30, 40 pins at the end of the game.
Well, those are the shots that probably grind on you a little bit, right? I mean, you throw your marginal shots that, you're just hoping you don't leave something too bad. Watch out, something you can make. But when you throw a good shot like that, and it's ring 10, it's got to be pretty frustrating, right?
Oh, yeah, big time. Especially because the scoring pace was, I've heard from a lot of the guys, has been a little higher than it has been the last year or two. So.
Well, it still took minus 39 to make the top 32.
Yes, it's still not as high. Probably one of the lowest cuts we've had in the whole year.
Of course, we had the 3-man roll-off last night, but now we're down to the final 4.
Yeah, I caught a glimpse of that just before I was about to fall asleep, considering we finished pretty late last night. That was an interesting roll-off.
It was.
It was that. Is it Michael Mark, his 9th frame, where he missed the 129? 128?
Well, there was a point in that match in the 7th, 8th, 9th frames where each of the players had their turn of being out of the cut.
We got a ball change here from Rhino.
A lot more surface than we've seen all week.
Yeah, he's gone to a bigger ball, bigger core, that's for sure. Yeah, he's looping it a bit more, trying to use that hold that yeah, that's perfect. He's used that hold that Jacob's created with urethane, and he's bumping it off of the hook he's made from the surface he made for himself earlier. He really got his hand around that one too. That's a great shot. It's an interesting concept that you get to see the other 2 players hanging around waiting to bowl.
Staying loose, getting their practice shots in.
Getting to see what happens with the pair. It's got a push. Not a great shot.
Yeah, a lot of times the players don't usually watch the matches ahead of them because, they kind of know what the shot is. I think here, you really got to pay attention to how it transitions because it changes fast here.
Oh, yeah, and especially with how difficult they were this week. You kind of got to see where most shots are going.
And that was ready to target all the way.
All the way.
You also get a great look at all those state championship plaques on the wall. This center has a very strong history of high school bowling champions.
I completely understand why they're state champions. This place is hard.
Yeah, they say only a couple 300s a year.
Yeah, I saw the whole 300
amazing.
sponsor board. I was bowling with Brandon Novak yesterday, and he had the front 9. I was like, you might be able to get the sponsor.
Well, Brandon has that many in a season that they've had here in the last decade.
Wow.
Open frame for Page, 65 in the 4th. Big opportunity for Brad Angelo to really take control of this match right here.
Be a huge double.
Been 6 years since Brad's last title, 2012 Viper, the World Series.
Good shot.
Another 10-pin on that right lane.
See again. Feel like he made the right move there. I felt like he nudged a little right on that one and kept his angles a little bit more square to try and get it to go through the pins a little bit more harder. Done the right thing. Instead of leaving the flat 10, he left the ring 10. It's a hard move off of that because you just.
And you're talking just. That's a very minute miss, right, between ring 10 and a half 10 or a strike.
Oh yeah, you're talking like a hair, if that, I feel like the 180 pace we was talking about earlier, that's where it's looking at right now. Try and play safe, especially with Rhinos open. We've got those first 2 to 4 frames out of the way. Brad's just basically going to stay clean, I think, this game.
Well, if he stays clean, he forces Rhino to throw a double or a three-bagger somewhere.
Which is, they're hard to come by.
So that's the chess game when they get tough like this, right? Is, hey, I'm just going to stay clean. You got to come and beat me.
Oh, definitely. Again, another great shot. So notorious this week. Yep, that's exactly what Tom just said to us. He's just got Coldwater. 2 ring 10s. Yeah, perfect. He's been solid all week on his spares. I don't think I've actually seen him miss one.
Well, that's what it takes to get this position in this event. Is you can't be missing a lot of single pins or chopping or.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's 12 pins in the score, but in the standings, it's 4 or 5 spots, as close as they were all week.
Big time.
Better looking shot.
Yep. He looks like he moved left and got his hand behind that one from his last one. Instead of being a little further right and getting his hand around it, I think he might have been giving the pocket away a little bit too much. So he's moved left and got his hand behind that one, that's for sure. Yeah, it's a perfect shot. Be interesting to see what he does on lane 9 right now because of the one that overhooked. I think the move he made on 10, I think he might do on lane 9 as well, but not move as far left.
Those eyes never come off the target. Head never moves.
And his hand's behind it, that's for sure. Not enough.
A little firm, maybe?
Yeah, it must be. I think there might be a little bit more hang down lane on lane 9 than there is on 10, that's for sure. I thought that one was good. That might have something to do with Jakob. And
we've seen this has been a kind of a tricky pair all week. Well, they've all been tricky, but we've focused on 9 and 10 quite a bit. It's been one of our featured pairs, and we've seen a couple more difference between them all week long.
I feel that 13 and 14 was the worst, and 9 and 10 were the second worst for sure in this building. I felt like 14 had a ton of hang compared to what 13 had, whereas 9 and 10, I felt like 9 had more hang than 10, and obviously I feel that's what Rhino's seeing right now on the left side. I think Brad's about to catch up to it right now, especially as he ring 10 on that lane.
So you call him worst and second worst, and the owners call him best and second best.
Yeah, I can imagine they practice on them all the time.
They like him tough here, and they're definitely proven to be there. Topography is an issue. Pair to pair, lane to lane. Brad Angelo with a chance to keep that lead.
That's a great shot.
No 10 pin there.
Nope. Looks like he got his hand around it a little bit more there. Try and store a bit more energy down lane.
When you leave those variations of the week 10s, what do you move? Do you try to go a little bit higher in the pocket or try to go a little bit lighter?
Well, I think that was his first move. He flat 10, and then he made the small little right move to try and jam the ball in there a little harder, but I think it went in through to the pins too quick because the 6 wrapped around the 10. So on that one, I think he went back to where he flat 10 and just got his hand around it to make it go through the pins a little bit more different, try and get the head pin off the wall. That's what I was seeing, so it'd be interesting to see what he does here. I think he might try and make the same move. Seems it. Yeah, that was a great shot. Got his hand around that one a little bit more.
Yeah, much stronger roll. We'll see here. Our second look at this shot. That ball really picked up early and made a definitive move into that 1-3 pocket. Yeah, Brad realizes he doesn't know how many more chances he'll have to win a title. He's 48, spends a lot of time teaching, doesn't bowl a lot in the summer. He's got a very busy bowling center and a lot of students, but he is here this week and he's got a chance.
Be interesting to see if he bowls the 50 tour.
This is maybe.
They just don't know until they reach that time, do they? That should come off it. It's a great shot.
Well, he was saying that his kids are out of school. You know, summertime. The PBA 50 runs most of the summer, and that's he's got a lot of summer leagues, a lot of lessons back at the bowling center. in New York. The kids are off school, so maybe a couple tournaments. He said if they have a little vacation out of it, but it doesn't really think full time.
No,
not right now anyway.
I can understand it. Rhino really needs to get this left lane sorted right now. He needs to catch the double. So of all the places I've bowled around the world, this is definitely the most remote bowling centre I've ever been to. It's a little remote.
Over the river and through the woods.
Oh yes, that's definitely the most remote place I've ever bowled in.
Take a left at the Raccoon.
And go for 58 miles.
Yeah, past the second cornfield. Farm country out here in central Ohio.
Great shot, he slowed down.
They like their
Great shot.
bowling and their high school football around here. And good shot from Rhino Page. He's still down there on 20. He's gonna need some help from Brad.
Certainly is. That was a phenomenal shot. He threw it slower. Yeah, picked up in the perfect spot. Always dead on the line. Just fantastic. Trying to pump himself up for the rest of the couple of frames he's got left.
Well, both these players, they're very emotional players. I mean, you can see Brad, he'll get wound up, and Rhino can do the same.
I always remember the match he played Barnes. I can never remember what the tournament was. It was years ago where they did the Brooklyn deal, where, but when Brad said that one Brooklyn, I always remember that.
Brad's not shy about chirping a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Why not?
Yeah, get it going, bit of excitement. See if Brad can get that swisher going. It's a bit right.
Now, we were watching you with some shots earlier, Richie. You had a lot of body movements going on there.
Yeah.
What was up with that?
Yeah, I found the approaches really tacky today. Yeah, I wasn't hitting the line as confident as I wanted to today.
You had one move that was like the Matrix. You were like bent completely over,
Oh yeah.
You better go watch the archives on that though, because it was fun to watch.
I was going to say that's probably the whole try and calm yourself down, use the physical movements through that instead of through expletives and stuff like that. I'd rather do it that way than...
Just don't get fined, right?
Correct. I think that might be the British coming out of me. Just try and be nice and calm, Yeah, it was as tricky as they were.
Yeah, well, I mean, we see you Brits, you're pretty calm. Yeah, Don Barrett, he's always calm out there. Stu Williams, he never says anything. Yeah,
I think I'm an exception. I come from the wrong tree.
To keep at least a 3-pin lead and
It's a good shot.
have a chance to win in the 10th regardless of what Rhino Page does.
That was a great shot.
You saw that right off his hand. What'd you see that on this shot that you liked?
I felt like he'd moved a tiny bit left, and he got it exactly to the spot you needed to. You can get it to 7, 8, 9 down lane, without it overhooking before it gets there. You're going to be pretty close, that's for sure. Especially on in this bottom centre anyway. Rhino definitely needs to catch this one. Get behind by 3 and try and hope that Brad doesn't strike. Trigged it there. Yeah. I think Rhino's definitely found that push that he wanted and the hook. I think he just tried to open up his angles up too early in the earlier start of the game.
We see Tom Daugherty back there. He's watching this game planning. So if you put yourself in Tom's shoes, he's got to be looking, okay, I need to shoot 220s and make my opponent beat me. That's a different mindset than you have normally going into a stepladder final, right? 220s. I mean, you're thinking, I want to strike every shot. You don't think that here.
Oh, yeah, no, you're thinking 210 is going to probably win the game. With what Tom's been doing for most of the week, he's been further in than Brad. So I feel like Tom's actually going to have if Brad gets through, we'll have a good match this next match.
Yeah, Tom finished the morning block with a couple of 270 games.
Yeah. Rhino is going to force Brad to get the first one too. Whatever Rhino does, Brad has to follow.
When they're tougher, do you like to finish first?
When they're tougher? Yeah, try and get it out of the way as quickly as I can. You know, if it's close like this, yeah, I'd rather be the one that's done the job before. You know, I don't want to be the one behind. Especially, like you say, with how tough they are. If you throw that wayward shot, it just gives your opponent that thing, you know, just gives them a boost of confidence that you don't want to give them. He's a little around that one. It's a great shot. Bit of aggression there.
He's getting himself pumped up. He knew how important that shot was. Now he forces Brad to do the same thing.
Such an interesting concept because he hasn't thrown that. He's only thrown that ball in practice the whole week, and then he goes and decides to throw it in the first game.
Well, that's knowing your arsenal and knowing what you can do with it, right?
It's fantastic.
That's confidence, and that's the difference between guys that have won multiple times out here and guys that, you know. I mean, if you make that move in frame 3, it's too late.
I need to get writing down some notes. It's a great shot.
What a finish! 225, Rhino Page. Double and 8 for Brad Angelo.
Brad in this lane. The 9 spare was a 10-pin, I think.
Yeah, there are 3 10-pins and the 1 strike on this lane.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so, yeah. That's all it's been for Brad. It's 10 pins and strike.
Yeah, a little ring 10, flat 10. Staying clean gives himself a chance.
Bit of Tom getting over a little early. And he's a bit perplexed. That's what happens when you got a title on the line. Emotions get high.
Just a little shadow maybe. You see the sun coming through the door, and Tom kind of walked in between Brad and the sunshine, blocking the sun.
Yeah. It's all right. Bobby was there. He's right in the middle of those.
The Daugherty eclipse.
Yeah. I think the one before he got a little right late. That's why he sort of flat 10. So see what happens here.
That's determination right there.
Come on, ball. Just trying to get that one to hook.
Oh, 10-pin late.
He tried to force that one to hook. He's just done the job.
Yeah, you can see in this release you saw it too. He's trying to
Really
direct it a little bit, but and you do that here, that's dangerous to try to force it here.
He can get into a little bit of trouble, that's for sure. But his angles are so straight. When I try to do that, I always end up throwing it a little further left than I want to. His came off his hand really well. I feel he's going to try and slow down a little bit for this next shot because they've been last few shots have been shaker on this right lane. If he can just be a pinch slower, it might drive up a little bit more better. Looks slower. That was a great shot. Definitely looks slower. Well, we're in Coldwater. Getting 8 can be tricky.
I didn't want to say anything. and that's the thing, right? When you just try to get 8, you get less. So he's just got to do what he just done. Just throw your strike ball.
Exactly. Just repeat the process. That's all you have to do right now. Just repeat exactly those first 2 shots.
Eight to advance and take on Tom Daugherty.
That was definitely
That's more than 8. 228, 225, Brad Angelo. What an opening match here.
That was awesome.
Couldn't ask for much more. A couple of 10-pins, that one open frame early on for Rhino was his undoing. Jakob and Tom, they'll get a couple of practice shots in here, and we're going to get ready for our semifinal match here at the Kenn-Feld Classic here in just a couple of minutes, and we'll be back with that match shortly.
With 2 national titles, 15 regional titles, he was a member of the Splitters who won the Elias Cup earlier this year. Riverview, Florida, Tom Daugherty.
A few Tom Daugherty fans in
Okay,
attendance
gentlemen,
here
we're
in
ready for the
Coldwater.
second Final match.
Looks like Brad's going to
Okay,
start.
Coldwater, how about a nice round of applause to get our second match underway.
So Richie, regular Richie T's here on the call in the semifinal match. We were watching that practice. It looked like maybe a couple shots that Tom was throwing to try to burn up a little spot there. Did you see that? What's the idea behind that?
I did. He's been using the ball. He used the ball that he's been using the whole week in that spot to try and burn it up. I think that's more strategic than it is anything. I think he wants to stay right. He wants to get Brad's ball hooking earlier.
Well, from a match play standpoint, Brad just shot 228 with that ball. You want to get him out of it as soon as you can, right?
Yeah, of course. He was literally on top of where Brad was the whole of practice.
Come on, Brad. Hey. Harry, yeah.
And Brad sees that. Brad knows that. He's a student of the game. He understands lane play and how to manipulate around this. So he's just going to try to stay right of that?
Yeah, I think so. He's going to try and probably throw a little firmer. But we can see already it's done a little bit of damage. Look, he just trips the 4. So what Tom's done is definitely made a mark on the lanes, that's for sure.
Come on, Daugherty.
That was a little firm, I think. The first shot's always a little firm. Kind of definitely blew through the break point there. Right there. Just never made its turn. Like I said, 2-8 was hard this week. I don't want to put a black cloud on him, but...
Well, what we see is the 8 is what gets taken out of this. The ball goes long. And he made it nicely.
That was a ball change and a big move left to make that spare. I just think that right lane's a little tighter. I think as we saw Brad trip before, I think if Tom stays in that same spot where he just threw it on lane 10, I think he'll strike.
Come on, ball.
That's in.
Yeah.
That ball picked up early and then laid off.
I think that was a little further in than he wanted it.
That was 11, 12 at the arrows. About 9 down at the rangefinder there.
He looked a little, see there, he looked a little uncertain about it. He was very, is that going to stay there? I just think he's got to be a little slower on 10 and he'll be okay.
Well, what we've seen from Tom today is his misses are a lot of ring 10s when he's been coming up the back of it. But when he comes up the back and gets quick, that's when it's a 10 pin. So he just said, don't throw it hard.
Exactly.
His miss is a speed miss today.
Come on. Hit. Yeah.
See what I mean? Brad trips the 4 and then he pretty much replicates what he did on the left lane on the right lane. And it seems like there's a bit more push on that right lane so that it stays on line later down lane.
Well, that's what
Right
the guys
there.
used to like to do, a few years back, is you line up in practice by leaving 4s or tripping 4s and just make a little move off it and you're dead flush.
Be interesting to see if Brad makes a move left here. Oh.
Come on, Brad.
Looks like he has. That's that miss.
Better look on this replay. Looks like that ball just scored a little bit right about here.
Yeah, he's got that further right than he wanted it.
And
That's
that
for
was,
sure.
like 5, 6, so 3, 4 boards right of where Tom Daugherty is at that rangefinder down lane. And Brad doesn't have the same rev rate as Tom to be able to peel it off that spot, right?
No, yeah, he upped his RPM by 150. Probably would have made it.
That's all.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a couple. Is that 2-8? Told you. It's not the easiest of spares here. You feel like it's going to stay online, and then it does that. This pattern's so flat they can do that.
Open frame for Angelo. Daugherty a chance to take command early.
That's definitely slower. He really got on that. Still not enough. I don't even think he could probably move right off of that.
That wasn't your standard 8-pin, but Daugherty, he's left a lot of 8-pins this summer. That's kind of been his nemesis. This isn't your normal blower 8. This one just kind of deflected, and that was a remnant.
Yeah, I wasn't in Jonesboro, but I heard he lost two. Was it 1 or 2 8-pins in the title match?
2.
2. I didn't. I heard the story. I didn't watch it, but that's not nice. Maybe he might try and get some redemption here. But like you said, that wasn't the standard.
No, that was
Pack
that
8.
was that was a kind of an odd one there.
That was a hoping to crumble it over.
Come on, ball.
Give it a little more room.
And he's done the same thing again.
Another kind of a weak 8 there. I mean, same results, but what's the move?
I think he's trying to open up too much angle with such a very used ball. Me personally, I would maybe go up 1 ball, maybe try and use a tiny bit more core.
What do you think, he missed on that shot, or is he just trying to stay right on top of Brad and
think
force Brad to a different part of the lane?
I think it's a combination of both. He's pushing a lot of oil down lane because that ball's he's been used so many times. You can see it's pretty oil soaked, so he's kind of stretching the pattern out effectively. So I think if they were trying to move in, the ball's never going to recover because it's too much. You know, both, especially Brad's using way too much core if he used to move left.
Come on, ball.
It's like they move
There's
positions on the lane.
There's that problem. As soon as you try to move left and you pinch it a little, it's just going to take off. Because what Tom's doing is he's stretching the pattern out down lane, and if you pinch at it a little bit, it's just going to overtake. You have to kind of get it right of that push he's creating. Well, Big 4, we haven't seen it being made once, correct?
Walter Williams Jr., they want to make it on a TV show.
Oh, I thought we were going to.
No.
Oh, man.
It's been 3 7-10s made on TV, only 1 Big 4, so chances are pretty slim.
Oh, yeah. 2 early opens here. Tom staying safe. Literally hitting the pocket, trying to make his spares. This is a ball change by Brad. This is the ball he was using, I'd say, later on in the blocks. He was using his transition was a phase 2 to a show off, but now he's doing shore lock to show off. So we'll see if this makes a difference. See if it gives him that hold he needs.
Well, this one he's been using all week, so he knows what it's going to do.
There we go. That was perfect. He got it, kind of got it right at that push, and I think he's going to use that push for the rest of this game.
I will give you some extra frame trivia, though. There's one player that's actually made the Big 4 and the 7-10 on camera in the same block.
Oh, wow. Who's that?
Brian LeClaire.
Wow. That's a cool stat.
We just happened to catch him on the edge both times.
Awesome.
He's like, did you see that? Yes, we did.
Oh,
Tom
no.
Daugherty.
Oh, no.
It's gone.
That was a move right and miss right. That's the Coldwater hit. You're hoping for the 4-2-1 to roll forward. Right about there, you're like, please roll forward. Nearly. But it's a spare in this building, which is good.
Get up. Yeah.
I think that's what he intended to do in the first shot.
I don't know. He's still looking at it. He's definitely confused by lane 10. But if you look at a couple of frames ago where these players started, they've swapped positions on the lane. Right? I mean, you got Angelo now inside of Tom.
You think it'd be the other way around, right, with the rev rates?
Right.
It's just the way they're both attacking the pair. You go with the game plan and you stick with it. Especially when it's just one game. He's moved in a little.
Yeah.
There we go. He's he just found that bump that Angelo just found and used it exactly the same way as Angelo just did. Didn't quite catch what he just said there, but
One chance for Brad to get within 3.
yeah, hopefully this is going to be the right move. I think he's going to be just a ball change, probably a little bit of a zone change too. Yeah, he's feathering. Great shot. I think he's playing them pretty similar now. I think he's in the right ball, especially for this pair right now. This is the thing with Brad, like he's literally repeated shots like that the whole week. It's especially when they're this tough, you have to repeat like that. You have to be able to nail it within 2 boards.
Well, we saw him earlier when he would make a bad shot on one lane, he would just come right back and label it on the next lane. He's got that short memory. He doesn't, it's over, it's done. You can't rethrow the bad shot.
There's a lot of bowlers that will replay that shot in their minds over and over and over, the bad ones, and they wonder why, and it causes a problem.
We can see it sitting here in body language of a guy, 3 frames later still, even after a double, he's still upset about what happened 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
Left of target?
That one, yeah, definitely. That was the same problem we had with the Shorelock. He just got it left of the push that Tom's created, and it's just going to take off right there. I think he's looking at whether he's going to go for the spare or for count. When a player usually leaves a split and does this, he's usually thinking, what's 2 going to get me? What's 1 going to get me? But obviously the spare's a spare, but
What do you think? Go for 2 now? It's still early. There's still 3 frames to go. Daugherty could easily split a couple times, just like Brad has.
he's gone for the spare.
Oh!
He just did both.
Yeah, I want to make it, but I want to make sure I get 2.
2, yeah,
Right.
pretty much. That was close. Tom's going to feel pretty confident right now going into this frame after that. Much straighter angles. There you go. Much straighter angles.
And when your opponent gives you an open, you have to capitalize on it.
Yeah, see if Tom throws it as good as he did that last frame.
Come on, Tom.
Yeah,
Check.
perfect.
There, yeah.
Oh,
23
such a good
pin lead,
combo
Tom
project.
Daugherty, a couple of frames to go.
Brad's going to need a lot of help from Tom.
Well, a couple of strikes here can send a little message. But if you let Tom get that arm swing even looser now, he's not going to miss. That's usually his key. When he gets relaxed and loose, good things happen.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, ball.
Got to hook a little.
Carry it. Oh.
That one looked a little firmer than the one where he did strike from. It looked like he got it right, but a little quick. Yeah, he tried to force it there. Routine spare there for Brad.
.198 max score for Brad Angelo.
Tom's 210 pace. Mark. Yeah, 2 marks. He needs a lot of help.
Yeah, strike here is almost mandatory to force Daugherty to show it up in the last couple of frames. Another 10.
That was a small move left to try and give himself a little bit more room if he was to target a little. For a really good shot there, just really unfortunate. This left lane's definitely hooking more than the right lane. But not, it probably won't be. I'm not sure what it will be for Jakob though. We're gonna have to wait and see. Oh, oh, ooh. That's the Coldwater hit. Missed by enough.
That's a good miss right there.
Yeah.
Not if you're Brad Angelo, it's not, but if you're Tom Daugherty, it's a great miss.
I think he's the guy who said it the most this week too. That's the Coldwater miss. Miss enough to do that.
That was a good 5 boards left of target.
Yes.
And that's a winner. Tom Daugherty will bowl for this title here in Coldwater, Ohio.
Fishing there a bit.
2018 Kenn-Feld Classic, and he's going to take on, I mean, really one of the hottest bowlers over the last couple of years, Jakob.
Jakob, yeah.
18 regional titles in 3 seasons. He's got 5 this year in 3 regions. He's got a win on tour here this year. He's got 3 or 4 national titles. This is all in the last couple of years. Quite an impressive resume.
Incredible.
And he took over the lead in the final game just about an hour and a half ago from Tom Daugherty, and Tom wasn't too happy about that.
No, like we said, I think he's trying to get his redemption in the last game of the tournament.
And you know, you always talk to players. Is there a certain player you want to beat today? Daugherty, he wants that crack at Butturff again. Well, he's going to get it. Brad's going to finish up, make it official here. But championship match up next. Tom Daugherty, Jake Butturff here from Pla-Mor Lanes.
Started. Coldwater, are you ready to give away a national title today? Okay, Tom's going to lead off, but he's going to face our tournament leader. 3 national titles. He's got 18 regional titles in his young career. Won the World Cup in 2017, 2016 Player of the Year in the West-Northwest region. Give it up for Jakob Butturff. We will have our awards presentation immediately following our championship match. Coldwater, let's get this started with a huge round of applause. The champion, the 2018 Kenn-Feld Group Classic.
Well, here we go. Craig Elliott, Richie Teese. We're going to watch Tom Daugherty, Jake Butturff bowl for the title here at Pla-Mor Lanes in Coldwater, Ohio. The 11th Kenn-Feld Classic. And a matchup of our final match in qualifying, or final game of qualifying just a little while ago. These 2 players flip-flopped the 1 and 2 seeds. And Tom Daugherty, as we mentioned a little bit ago, he wasn't happy about it. He felt he threw a really, really good 230 game, and Jake just shot 265 against him, and there's not a whole lot you can do.
No, definitely not.
It does make you feel better.
No, because I can imagine Tom worked really hard for the 230 too.
So, Richie, we saw Tom make a couple moves that last match. There was a chess game there with Brad Angelo. Do you think he's got 2-3 frames to do that here with Jakob? Because he strikes a lot.
He does. I think they're just going to have to both play their own games right now. I think Tom was a little timid that first shot. Jakob striking, that's a shock. water's also wet.
Well, when they get tough, he just seems to figure out a way to strike and strike in bunches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fun to watch. A unique style. You know, that double jointed wrist, the like a 3/4 type. Have you seen his layout before? How he's
Yeah, I have.
pretty
yeah.
funky.
But
he makes it work.
Yeah, it's his thing, and like you say, he just makes it work. You know, it's just that uniqueness. It's like the same thing with Belmer with the two hands. It's just the way it is.
I mean, you can't argue with the resume. 18 regional titles, 3 national titles, a World Cup last year. I mean, that's in 3 years, right? That's a lifetime for a lot of players.
Oh yes.
So he's got to win this year, and that's a different look.
I think it's going to take 2:37 or more to beat Jakob this game.
All right, write it down. 2:37. You heard it right here.
I think Tom's going to need 2:37 or more.
But see, they shook hands and a little hug to start there. But after that strike, Jakob just walked right back with a scowl. He didn't look at Tom. I like that, because Jacob's happy-go-lucky.
He is. Good friend of mine. It's a good shot. I just think this left lane hooks a bit more. I think what he did in the 10th shot of the last game, or effectively his fill ball, where he moved in with a different shinier ball, actually didn't look too bad of a deal for the left lane. There was a lot of times yesterday and the start of today where I was using 2 balls on a pair because they were that different. So
Yeah, we heard that a lot this week from a lot of players using the 2 different balls to try to play the same part of the lane.
correct. I just think this left lane hooks later down lane. It's not necessarily earlier. I think it's more later. Obviously not happy with something right there.
I'm not sure if 2:37. That's a big number, but I think
It is.
it's just gonna be who carries the corners. I don't see any big 4s or 2 10s in this match. I think it's just gonna be a battle of the corner pins.
Correct. Especially if Daugherty gets this sorts out this lane. That's got a hook.
And as I said, he sends it out. That was 3-4 right of target easily.
I honestly think he should go to what he did in that fill ball earlier, where that ball came off of it when he was more further in. I think he's trying to look for earlier hook on that left lane to try and get it to stand up in front of the 1-3, but I just think there's too much of a puddle around where he is.
And anytime you give it the pocket away here, anything can happen, right?
Correct. I think he's going to probably have a sit down. Probably, me personally, I'd make that move, unless he just threw those 2 shots really bad. But he's down there for a reason, and I'm sat here for a reason.
Well, he still had a pretty solid week.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Take a top 12 finish.
Well, Butturff strikes on both shots here. That's going to force Tom Daugherty to try something.
Come on, Jacob. Hit. Yeah.
2:37.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great shot. Almost identical to the first frame.
It's real early in this title match, but you remember in Maine, if you shoot 300, you get a brick. How about if you shoot 300 here, you get the tractor?
That'd be that'd be awesome.
You got to drive it home, and it's a long drive to Arizona or Florida for one of these players. But
Well, I see all the sponsors on the wall, but I actually don't know what they offer.
lifelong adoration. Front 4 chance for Butturff. 5 goes late, and you know Tom watches that, and he doesn't like it either. There's a very nice carry for Jake Butturff. The ball is already heading up the ball return, and the 5-pin's still spinning around. Something comes off the sideboard, takes it out.
That was a good line mixer. Great shot. Might have just been a little firm, but there's enough rope rate to get it back from where he needed to. See, I think Tom's got this lane. It's just this left lane, I think, is just not hooking early enough. It's just too much of a puddle. Or it could be even too early. It could be reading the lane way too quickly.
11 to 9, so fairly direct.
Still sticking with the same ball. shot.
Yeah, that was about an arrow left all the way down lane of the last shot, and 10 back is what he needed to do. We got a match.
Yeah, he moved left and got it. I think he got his hand around it a little more than he did the previous shot. That's the only thing that was going to stop him from having 300.
Jakob also with a second in Lubbock this year to go along with his win in Indianapolis. And give a shout out to his mom, Bridget Miller, as well, who's been battling a lot of health issues the last couple of years. And Jakob just says he likes to keep winning for her, and she's out there watching now. So that one's for you, Mom, if you can pull this one off.
He was unsure about that one.
You know, he's a really, really good spare shooter. But game one of his first qualifying round, he missed 2 single pins first 5 frames.
Yeah, I was next to him when he did it. Yeah, he commented about it last night. Funny, he's saying that, and he's going on about, you know, how it's costed him a few things, especially when he played Barnes, when he missed a 7 to lose, you know, in the middle of the game. Yeah, he said his spare shooting hadn't been so great, but when you strike that much.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tough thing you think about that. You're in position so many times to win. There's going to be those times when you lose one because of something like that, because you're there so often.
Correct.
You know, it's not something that we know that feeling of quite so much as Jakob, because he's in that winner's circle so much lately. And a nice bounce back there. Leaves a 7, makes it, comes back and strikes. He can still shoot 279 and 270 possible for Tom Daugherty.
Yeah. That'd be a phenomenal game for this time match. This could get interesting. Not really much to say about that other than it was perfect. Nothing wrong with that. Just got to try and repeat it on this left lane now. So he's a little further in, he's just get to the same spot he did in the frame before. I think the scores have naturally got higher in this from last year here. Oh, we didn't like it. From last year here, because I think everyone's got a little bit more clued up about the bowling set the more they come here. You know, like, it's very rare to see Tom bringing such a ball that's been used so much.
Well, and you come here more often, you realize you're not going to walk in the door and average 230, right? So that's a different mindset when you get here.
Oh,
so that's got to affect, you know, now you're just going to say, well, hey, if I have a good game, great, but I'm not going to expect it.
I'll certainly, if I do come back next year, I know exactly what, you know, what I'm going to be doing next year.
2 spare balls and 1 other ball.
Oh, yeah. Urethane with the shoes around the neck. Oh, that's got a hook.
Uh-oh.
That just seemed a little rushed.
Yeah, looks like you're making the motion like he kind of missed it a little bit, too. Just
he knew it.
Out the window, yep.
He just seemed to throw that one. You know, he literally just seemed to get up and throw it.
Well, we're going to test his spare shooting now. It's just tougher there with that 9-pin back there.
Looks like he's going to go straight at it, too. Yep.
Headpin took a little peek at knocking the 7 out. Watch this replay. Tried coming out of the back and just didn't hit it.
Oof.
And that gives Daugherty the lead.
It does. He needs the next 4 for my prediction.
If this is 236, 237, then you get my job. You win. It's yours.
Oh, I'll see everyone at the full swing.
Got to regroup after that last shot. And that one's not quite so good either.
No. That lane's looking a little tight down lane.
Is this just him doing it to himself? He got a bunch of the practice shots now, 3/4 of a game here throwing urethane. Is he creating his own OB there?
I think so, a little bit. I think lane 9 has been a little troublesome the whole week for the left-handers this week. I think Graham Farr earlier had a very low game down this end. I think it might have been on 9 and 10. I can't remember. I think he had like 130, 140. I can't remember if it's 9 and 10 or 11 and 12, but I don't know if it's going to play a factor. I just think that left lane's just hanging up on him a little bit. The last shot on there, he kind of swished the strike with the 5-pin. I was thinking it was just a little tiny bit more firm than he wanted it on lane 9. It's a big shot here for Tom. It's close.
Had a chance to take lead, and he doesn't.
I think he thought it was good too.
Wow.
The hole really there, yep. I thought it was making it off it. Not the easiest of spares here. Don't know whether to run the risk of hooking at that, especially in the title match.
Tom always goes straight at this one, though, and he's he's pretty firm, pretty quick, and that's not one he misses too often, really. 224 max score now for Daugherty.
Phone went off right in his backswing.
I know I gotta have it. You know you do.
He's sort of like that one.
Yeah, he's. They're joking around a little bit there with the crowd. No hands going up for this spare. Oh.
Well,
Did I just black cloud him?
wasn't me.
My bad. Please don't tell me
No,
it was
this
me.
is just all mental, right?
Yeah.
A long couple of days here, and you get down towards the end. He knows he needs help, and that's just mental.
Oh, geez.
203 max score, and now it's Butturff's tournament right here. Victory lap opportunity for Jakob to win here in Coldwater, Ohio. 204, the magic number. He stays clean. He's 2 teens.
Come on, ball.
Got a hook. Yeah, just
If he
enough.
strikes out, he can shoot 237.
I still can't believe it. Oh, it's such a shame for Tom. Not the 2 greatest of frames he wanted. I can't believe if I call this.
Oh, he makes that. It's still max 214. He was going to need some help.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make doesn't make you feel any better. You still don't want to go open in the 8th and 9th when you get a chance to take the lead.
Yeah, you don't want to leave the tournament doing that.
Come on, ball. Push.
Oh, prediction was wrong. That was just in. He needs to make this, I think.
Yes.
6 misses. Yeah, it's 190.
Oh, no, 6'3" is 185. Or 205, right?
Yes.
204.
204.
Needs 3.
He needs 3. Which looks like he's gone for. All right. We
have a winner. Yeah, that's
A
I
winner.
think we're all just, everybody here is doing the math 3 times to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, max score for Daugherty 203.
207.
That's already 207. Second title this year for Jake Butturff, and it comes right here in Coldwater, Ohio at the Kenn-Feld Classic.
What a show that. He done a real good job this week.
Daugherty will finish up. Richie, thank you for helping us here on the call. We appreciate it. Great job this week. Nice bowling, and
Thank you.
hopefully we'll get a chance to have you in here again. But it's time to go down and hand out some hardware and some money here. Well, how about that for a stepladder final? Let's bring out our sponsor, Dan Layfield, and our hosts here this week, Rick and Linus Hardings. And our champion here, the 2018 Kenn-Feld Classic, Jakob Butturff. Nice bowling, Jake. We talked a little bit before that match. Come on over here for a second. Your mom's battling some health issues. You've been talking. You're winning these for her. You've won a lot the last couple of years, but what's another national title mean?
It means everything. Like having this, like the support behind, having the support. It's on. All right. The support, having everybody around us. Like, I mean, for our sport, like. Every time I come in here, I see all these fans, and like they want to see us bowl and give it the all we got. So I thank my family, my friends, my sponsors, and you guys, the fans out here. That's what keeps our sport growing. So thank you guys.
Well, you definitely made that title match interesting. You kept us on our toes there in the booth on what was going to happen, but a great finish, and we've got Linus here and Rick we'll go with the trophy first. Rick Hardings. Rick, nice job this week. 85 sponsors, I believe. Another great year here in Coldwater. Nice job.
Yeah, thank you very much. Before we pass out the hardware and the check, we'll not sure why. But before we'd like to thank all the 85 sponsors. This wouldn't happen without you guys, all the volunteers and the staff here at Pla-Mor Lanes. Another great event, probably the best crowds we've ever had, our strongest field ever. So we're going to give him this nice trophy here for his accomplishments. And we'd like to thank the Kenn-Feld group for all they've done over these 11 years. They're a great company. And like I said, all 85 sponsors. This is pretty amazing. And we got a nice little trophy for you here, Jacob.
I ain't got a whole lot to say. Congratulations, Jacob. Hell, I don't need a microphone. Congratulations, Jacob. I'd like to thank all you folks from Coldwater, Ohio for coming out and supporting this great tournament we got out here. It's good for our community, and it's great for these professional bowlers. Congratulations, Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you.
2018 champion Jake Butturff. How about one more round of applause for our great host and our sponsor this week? Second title this year for Jacob. Get a little time off to get ready for that fall swing in U.S. Open. And we're going to crown a Player of the Year later this year. And Jacob is in the running for that with his second title here in Coldwater.